Time. There just doesn't seem to be enough of it in a day. Time to pick up the kids, time to go to work, time to fix dinner, and perhaps time to take one of those classes in time management if you could ever find any spare time. And of course, we all know that time will tell. Time flies when you're having fun, and in the immortal words of the Rolling Stones, time is on my side. With the concept of time being so important, we at the district thought it would be a good time to talk to you about some weather-related topics. First, we'll visit with the National Weather Service, where it's time to talk about weather safety. Then we'll take the time to show you the importance of flood insurance and flood safety tips to protect you and your family. After that, it's time to do some spring cleaning, which means making sure we protect our desert land and lake. Then it's time to look back at some of the more recent floods in the valley and what's been done to correct some flood hotspots. And of course, we always have time for our Flood 101 and Pollution Solution segments on this edition of the Flood Channel. Remember, we at the district never put off to tomorrow what can be done today, so there's no time like the present to start the show because time waits for no one. Wow, got that done just in time. Welcome back to the Flood Channel from the Summerlin Earth Fair, where the district meets families like yours to talk about flood-related topics. Flash flood season is July through September, when intense heavy rain, damaging storms, and flash flooding are more likely to happen. The district works to keep you safe with partners like the National Weather Service through their Turn Around, Don't Drown campaign and important weather information. Carrie Ann is right on time with this report.
Flash flood season is quickly approaching, and we couldn't think of a better time to visit our partners at the National Weather Service. When a flash flood occurs, hours, minutes, and seconds can make a big difference in your family's safety.
Well, the number one mission of the National Weather Service is to provide timely, accurate warnings to the public and through our partners like Flood Control District and the media when the weather threatens life or property. But beyond that, 24/7 we have people here monitoring weather conditions and producing routine forecasts for the public, aviation, and many of our other partners. We use a variety of data sources to track and assess the intensity of storms, primarily satellite and radar imagery, but also simple things like observations from the public and from alert gauges and sites at airports. And all of that is collected in a centralized place and integrated together to help us assess the potential for danger to life or property by any given storm. Two of our most important partnerships in Las Vegas are with our media partners and with the Regional Flood Control District. It's probably the healthiest relationship in any location where I've worked, and certainly beyond the sort of open sharing of data and information, we're aware that a lot of people get their information from places outside the National Weather Service. And so we can issue as many watches and warnings as we like, but if people don't hear about them, it doesn't really do anyone any good. A watch means conditions are favorable for flash flood producing storms to form over a fairly broad area over the course of the next several hours. A warning means flash flooding is imminent or perhaps already occurring over a relatively small and focused area. CoCoRaHS is a national program. It stands for Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, Snow. And it's simply an effort to try and get more people, particularly in rural areas, involved in partnering with the National Weather Service and other public service groups to provide information about how much rainfall, hail, snow, and that sort of thing they get. And so people can contact us or contact the Regional Flood Control District and find out how they can partner with us and get a rain gauge, get a hail pad, get a snow pad, and provide information that sort of fills in the gaps about how much rainfall occurred in a particular storm. This is a radar image. The brightness of the colors has to do with the energy that's returned to the radar. And so there's heavier rain or sometimes hail if we start getting into greens and yellows and reds. then the other thing that we can see is what does it look like from outer space. This is a satellite imagery. Wow. And so that'll tell us a lot about where storms are going to develop over the next few days, and where the potential is for flooding and those kind of things. In the desert, flash floods are probably the #1 threat to life and property, outside of perhaps excessive heat. And it's particularly dangerous here because so many people are moving into the valley year after year, and they're unaware that as little as 1.5 inches or 2 inches of water over a 30-minute period can sort of transform many areas of the valley from dry to raging torrents. So probably the most important thing that we could caution people about in floods is don't try to drive or walk through flooded roadways. Typically, it's about every 3 or 4 years that we'll see a significant flash flood event somewhere in the Las Vegas Valley. 1999 was a very serious flood. 2003 was another very serious flood. Those kinds of situations we can typically see 2 or 3 days in advance, and we will try to alert the media and the public with outlook statements and with statements on NOAA Weather Radio, and it'll go out through the Flood Control District and through the media. But that's sort of in that watch category. Conditions are favorable. We're fairly confident this is going to happen. Once you get down to the point where it's within the next few hours, it really has to begin to, you have to see some thunderstorms begin to develop before you can anticipate how they're going to evolve and move and what specific locations are going to be in danger of flooding. The National Weather Service is on 24/7, and we provide a variety of weather forecast products, even simple things about your daily planning, how a mom is going to dress her kids for school. But where it's really meaningful, when you really feel like what we do makes a difference, is when we get into severe weather situations, and through partnership with people like the Flood Control District and the media, we can get a message out that may have helped save a life or certainly save some property. It's on those days that you feel like what we really do matters.
The National Weather Service and the district use the latest technology to track potentially dangerous storms. Clear Channel Airwatch Traffic is another way you can learn about traffic and weather conditions.
Well, we have a stall on the southbound 15 at Tropicana, another one westbound 215 at Pecos, and traffic on the 15 freeway slow right now between about Craig Road and Lake Mead Boulevard. We communicate with Nevada Highway Patrol to get information about crashes on the freeways. We communicate with Metro Police Department. They give us surface street crashes. We also have relationships with a traffic management center here in town. So we just have a lot of sources that we all just try and bring together and get the best information and, provide the best product to the listener. We report traffic on our radio stations, our Clear Channel radio stations, as well as we provide text messages to listeners who sign up for a text messaging service. And we also provide information via websites. People log on to the websites and they can get traffic information through there. And that's all controlled right here in the studio. A listener will sign up for the text message saying that I travel, the 15 freeway between 7:30 and 9:30 in the morning. And if there's anything ever going on that 15 freeway between 7:30 and 9:30, then they'll get a text telling them, hey, there's a crash and a big jam up, so avoid the 15, take either Industrial or Las Vegas Boulevard as an alternate. We tend to stay traffic related here. If outside influence affects traffic directly, then we report on that. For instance, a flood or a breaking news story. If it's affecting the traffic, then we report on it. In a lot of instances, those things do affect traffic, because if a flood shuts down a street, then people can't use the street anymore, so that's going to affect traffic. I love it. I love being there to provide a service to the person. They depend on us to get them to work. They depend on us to get them around where they're going. They're going here. They want to know if there's traffic there. Well, what do? They come to us for information, and we try to provide the best information possible. I love it. It's a service. It's being in a service-oriented field. I really enjoy it. I love being a part of people's lives and really having them depend on me to get them to work or get them wherever they need to go.
For the latest information about traffic and weather conditions, log on to our website and sign up for free emails through the district and Airwatch Traffic. Betty, have you signed up?
You bet I did, Carrie Ann. And we'll be back with more on the Flood Channel after this timeout.
Hi, I'm News 3 weatherman Dana Wagner. Some parks and ball fields here in Clark County double as flood control facilities. When it rains, these fields can quickly fill up with flood water, which is then slowly released into storm drains and flood channels. Using these fields takes personal responsibility. When it rains hard, it's time to leave the fields and seek higher ground. So make sure your kids know that when it rains, it's time to stop the game. Here you go.
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Hi, I'm Kim Runk. I'm with the National Weather Service, and you're watching the Flood Channel.
Welcome back to the Flood Channel. There's so many types of insurance you can buy. Health, home, and car insurance are essentials. But what about flood insurance? Have you ever considered how devastating it would be if your home was damaged by a flood? Homeowners insurance, warranties, and federal assistance in most cases just aren't available to help with the damages. Carrie Ann takes the time to show us why flood insurance and knowing about flood zones are so important.
Whether you've lived here all your life or you're a new resident, did you know that flooding is America's most common natural disaster? And it can happen really fast, especially here in the desert. So with flash flood season right around the corner, we thought it'd be the perfect time to show you the ins and outs of flood insurance.
Buying flood insurance is just like buying life insurance and those kind of things. It's a personal preference. In the higher elevations, it's something that we tend to look over. We have 30 years left on our plan, and due to the severity of the storm, there's a possibility of flooding for everybody. In the high-risk flood zones, it's mandatory by our mortgage companies or our insurance companies and those kind of things. In the higher zones, it's an option, and it's just like any other option in life. Your life insurance, your health insurance policies, it's a choice that you'll have to make.
There are several things to consider when you're purchasing a new home. You should take a look at the surroundings around the house. Is it located next to a drainage easement, such as what we're standing in here? A drainage easement is a pathway for the flow. All the flow in the subdivision drains to typically one location, and it drains through a drainage easement out to an arterial street. And so it's important if your house is located next to one of those drainage easements, that check the finished floor elevation of the house, make sure the house is higher than the road and higher than the drainage easement to protect your floor, to protect your structure. If a house is in a high-risk area, you have a 26% chance of being flooded during the course of your 30-year mortgage. Flood insurance provides you an extra layer of protection from flooding. Even if you don't live in a flood zone, there's a chance that you're going to be flooded. And so having that insurance is a good way to protect yourself, your belongings, and your structure of your house. Flood insurance can be pretty inexpensive if you're not located in a flood zone, $200 to $500 a year, depending on the amount of coverage that you want to receive. The typical homeowner's insurance policy doesn't cover flooding from a weather-related event. And so you really need to purchase a separate policy through the National Flood Insurance Program to get flood insurance for your property. Flood insurance will cover the structure and the contents within the structure, but typically things outside of the house won't be covered. Detached garages, sheds, lawn furniture, barbecues, things like that won't be covered, but anything within the house or the structure itself will be covered. One of the problems we had in the August 2003 storm was that many drainage easements were blocked. They either had a shed built in them, or we found cars or RVs or boats parked in these drainage easements. And when that happens, debris collects at the wheels, or it collects at whatever's blocking the flow, and it increases the flow depth, and that can increase your flooding potential for the residents on each side of the drainage easement. It's very important not to block the drainage easements. Even cars or vehicles, even though flow can go underneath those, the wheels still collect debris. It's still going to create a dam effect, which is going to raise water surface in those easements and could impact the houses on each side. Other people have put wire mesh or screens across the wrought iron fences that go across easements to increase their privacy, and that also acts as a dam. It collects debris and it hinders the water from going through there, and it can cause flooding.
To find out more about flood insurance and flood zones, check out our website, regionalflood.org. On the homepage, click on the flood zone icon. From there, you can enter your address and find out if your home is in a flood zone. Gosh, would you look at the time? I promised Eric I'd help him with some spring cleaning. Betty, back to you.
Thanks, Carrie Ann. And time is of the essence when buying flood insurance because it takes 30 days for the policy to take effect. Even if you don't live in a high-risk flood zone, you can buy flood insurance, and it's a lot less expensive. We'll be back with more right after this.
Floods in southern Nevada can devastate your home and its contents and be a financial disaster if you're not prepared. The Regional Flood Control District wants you to know the facts about flood insurance. Flood damage is not covered by a standard homeowner's policy. Flood insurance is available to everyone, whether you live in a flood zone or not. Flood insurance may be a wise investment for you and your family. Call the Regional Flood Control District for more information at 455-3139 or FEMA at 1-888-CALL-FLOOD.
I'm Clark County Commissioner Bruce Woodbury, and you're watching the Flood Channel.
How fast does floodwater travel?
Floodwater in channels can reach speeds of up to 30 miles an hour. We held a demonstration a few years ago at the now closed Wet and Wild Water Park.
And then once it gets going, Mel's going to try to walk across.
There we saw that just 1 foot of water traveling only 5 miles an hour makes it impossible to keep your balance. It's a simple rule. Never drive or walk through floodwater. Turn around, don't drown. Welcome back to the Flood Channel. It's spring, and that means barbecuing with friends and family, getting ready for baseball season, go 51s, and tackling some of those honeydew chores like cleaning out the garage and sprucing up the yard. It's also an important time to remember to dispose of potentially dangerous chemicals correctly. Our good friend Eric took some time to do some spring cleaning of his own and offers these tips.
Did you know that just 1 quart of motor oil can contaminate up to 250,000 gallons of water? Or that lawn chemicals and fertilizers can wash into ditches and storm drains, which can reduce the amount of oxygen needed for aquatic life out at Lake Mead? You should always get rid of these contaminants at disposal sites which can accept hazardous waste. And lawn and garden chemicals should only be used at the manufacturer's recommended amounts because excess can find its way into our drainage system.
The Conservation District of Southern Nevada is a subdivision of state government, and we've been around for about 30 years. There are 28 conservation districts in the state of Nevada, and we work with federal, state, and local agencies to do projects on natural resource conservation. We're involved with this because it's a program that's going to help educate the community about stormwater pollution. And stormwater pollution is a big issue because it pollutes our drinking water, which is Lake Mead. The program is a storm drain marking program. There are currently plaques down above the storm drains with the logo KIP. He's a little fish, and he is helping to promote the message of don't pollute, because the water that goes into the storm drains directly to Lake Mead. We got involved because there was a need to spread the message about stormwater pollution, and we've partnered with the Regional Flood Control District and City of Las Vegas, City of Henderson, Clark County, and we've all come together to combine our resources, combine our funds, and put down some plaques above the storm drains. And then we're also going to educate some school children about stormwater pollution as well. We're hoping to create a poster contest to help educate the students about stormwater pollution, and then we want to go in and talk to kids about stormwater pollution so they can bring the message home to their parents and siblings. The plaques are a great localized message. It's right at the source. When people are walking down the sidewalks, they see the plaque above the storm drains and relate that message to where that water is going when it enters that storm drain. And that water is not treated and it drains directly to Lake Mead, which is our source for drinking water.
People need to recognize, no matter if you're within the government or you're just a private citizen or a business owner, what you do is part and parcel to what affects the lake. And everything that happens, whether it be in your home, in your front yard, whether it be at your business, whether it be as you're driving down the road, or as a business community, or as a public agency, it has a tremendous effect. If you're at home and you're washing your car, you're changing your motor oil, or you're fertilizing your yard, it goes down all the way down to the individual unit. And we all live here in this community. We all want to maintain our quality of life. We all want to know that the water that we drink from in Lake Mead is safe, and that we do our part to keep it pure as possible. Water is ferocious. It doesn't take a lot of water to move a vehicle or this debris or that junk or those pollutants down the road. And eventually down the road is down into a wash, down into Lake Mead. Or people need to differentiate to some degree that we have stormwater we deal with, but we also have nuisance water. And people sometimes think, well, we can't do much about the stormwater because it rains and it flows. But the important aspect is when the storm comes, it's going to take everything with it, from your front yard all the way down into the lake. So what is in there, okay? Whether it be at a business office park, or it be at your home, or anywhere. The other side of that is what you do on a daily basis, which we call nuisance water, which is always running through a curb or through a storm drain or down a street. It carries the same type of material that could be a pollutant as well. It's all important to come together and recognize the importance of not polluting our only water source.
We all need to be aware of just how important our valley's water system is and what we can do to help keep that water clean. Around the house, why not try environmentally friendly pesticides, fertilizers, and chemicals? When draining the swimming pool, always use the drainage port located in the front yard, and always clean up after your pet. Not only in your own yard, but when you take your pet for a walk as well, like my buddy Austin and I here are doing. Hey Austin, thanks for helping me to protect our area's most precious resource, water. And how about a bark to send it back to Betty?
Austin, you're a good dog. Clark County is home for all of us, and you can do your part helping protect the environment by disposing of trash properly. Tossing that fast food wrapper or soft drink cup out the window may not seem like a big deal, but trash can clog storm drains, cause flooding, and pollute Lake Mead. We'll be back with more on the Flood Channel after this.
I'm Agent Smith.
And I'm Agent Jones.
And we're busting people who pollute Clark County.
Hey, who are you guys?
Sir, please step back.
Hey, what are you doing?
Aha! Judged by your reaction, you don't like trash.
No.
Sir, this is yours. We saw you dump it out of your car.
Well, I was...
Sir, did you know trash can clog storm drains, cause flooding, and pollute Lake Mead? Sir, is Clark County your home?
Yeah.
And you don't like trash in your home?
No.
Then why would you dump trash in Clark County? Don't trash Clark County. It's our home, too.
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Why is it important to keep storm drains clear?
Important to us here at the Flood Control District that our storm drains be kept clear of trash and debris. When they're clogged with garbage, they can't do their job to protect us from floods. And not only that, it's important to keep trash and debris out of our environment. So if you see a clogged storm drain, please give us a call at the Regional Flood Control District at 455-3139, and we'll make sure that storm drain gets cleaned.
Welcome back. So far, we've shown you some timely advice about flood insurance, flood awareness, and environmental issues. Now it's time to take a look back at some recent storms and former flooding hotspots where district improvements are now in place.
In 1999, we had actually 2 storms that came over the Las Vegas Valley and merged on the west side of town. During the evening preceding that storm, there was a lot of rainfall up in the northeast part of the county and in southern Lincoln County, and the Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for the Las Vegas Valley based on that. Well, at the same time, there was another series of storms moving up from the south, and these 2 storms